Hello, friends. I'm DJ Lance Rock, and I have to say, Rock and Roll Grad School is awesome!
This is Rock and Roll Grad School with your hosts, Heidi Hedquist and Luke Poling. All their favorite songs are slow and sad.
So the remastered version of the Beatles' Let It Be is on Disney Plus today.
Oh, is it today?
It is, yeah.
Wow.
May 8th. So after you finish work, and obviously after you're done listening to the show,
yes,
you can then go and Warren, do you mind? Hello, kitties. We are going to have a real good time together because the cat already is clearly. We are talking with Blacklight District. It's a lovely conversation. It's not a genre of music that we don't know. It is a genre of distributing music that we're not super familiar with and is really interesting.
yes.
And we go into the interview and it is lovely. Yeah, I am so run over from Primus last night in a good way, but
Good.
3 hours of just bass in your face. And then it was 2 hours away. So, didn't get home till 1, but
It's a party.
Everyone had a good time.
As they should.
So, yes. And then we got the Surfer Jets coming up in a couple weeks. Or I guess I do, but
right.
It should be fun.
Fun.
Yeah. Is there anything else musically we need to discuss?
I mean, there's always things musically we need to
There
discuss.
is. I had a guy at Costco today stop me and say, "Oh, on your shirt, have you seen them?"
Are
And I
they
said,
hiding?
Cheap Trick? Yes. And then he proceeded to tell me about seeing them. He lives in Iowa. What he's doing at a Costco outside of Philly, I don't know. But then was just like, yeah, I saw him. It was a really great show. I was like, all right, cool. Have a good day. And then he just kept going on. All right, cool. Have a good day.
Minister of Cheap Trick.
Apparently he that maybe yeah, it must be some sort of Cheap Trick evangelist.
Wow. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm seeing them again in a couple, 2 weeks from today, I think. Yeah.
2 weeks from today.
I think so. Oh, he said that's awesome.
So is this part of the Heart tour? Has that not started yet?
Yes.
Excellent. That should be fun. When you do your next video, Minecraft theme or otherwise, we are available for voices. We work very cheap and we have not been animated before.
Yeah, we would love to be animated, even if we're silent, even if we get arrows through the head, we would love to get arrows through the head.
Okay, well, that is duly noted. Absolutely.
Yes, we will be destroyed by creepers.
In a second. We can destroy each other.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Happily destroy each other.
Oh, yeah.
So the video is so interesting. The being done by Minecraft. And who did this video? Is this something you kind of helped oversee, or where did this come from?
So essentially, I've been in somewhat of a partnership over the last probably almost 7 years now. So on YouTube, his channel, he's called Rainimator. He's I think, a young kid in his 20s from the Philippines. He and I started probably, I think around 2017. We did a video for a song called The Struggle. And then it did about 1 million views the first week, which at the time I was blown away by.
Yeah.
And 3 weeks later, we did the second video for a song of mine called Cold as Ice, which ended up doing about, 5 million views in 15 days. And from there, the song went like top 30 on iTunes in like 20 different countries. It started trending. And again, after, spending money and time and working radio and kind of all the traditional outlets, I was just so blown away at how impactful these Minecraft videos were. So kind of long story short, it's been a bit of a partnership. I supply the music. Rainimator creates the videos from the ground up. And it's been incredible. That is for sure.
It's such an interesting, way to connect with the fans. I know the tour that you're doing is very much designed to like, we're going to do the show, everyone can hang out, and then afterwards, I want to meet you, I want to talk to you. Like this idea of it's sort of this great almost democratization of music where it's like, if you find us, if you're part of this group, like come on in, we want you all here. Which it seems like these videos similarly, it's like if you have a skill, like show me, let's do something. And it just seems like a great way to connect with people very, very directly, that you are meeting and communicating with the people who you're speaking to through your music.
Absolutely. And it's crazy because you like you said, it's different at first. So when I first started thinking of like working with anime and Minecraft and all this different YouTube stuff, many of like the music executives I worked with at the time, whether it's managers or whoever's on your team, would say, yeah, you might have got 1 million views on there, but don't pay so much attention to it. It's just a bunch of nerds on the computer and blah, blah, blah. And it really almost like surprised me because I felt like, wow, am I that off in thinking that these kids and people are really like resonating with this music, and whether or not they found the music or love the Minecraft videos and just happened to get the song stuck in their head, and it always bothered me that people would say that, because to me, it was the opposite. It was like, all I could see was my streaming, my fan base, everything just grow in such an incredible way. So as years went on and we kept doing the Minecraft videos, every video would be trending on YouTube. All the songs would chart. Again, all these kids would come over to make Spotify and my actual music channels, big platforms that do very well. And then so cue to about a year or two ago, we kind of finally did our first headlining tour in many years. Because we'd noticed that when we were opening for an act, if it was an all ages show, we'd see all these kids out there, not a ton, but you'd notice, maybe 5 or 6 kids throughout the night that maybe came up to buy a t-shirt or wanted to take a picture or something. And, internally we kind of start talking like, if all of this streaming has blown up like this over the past 5-6 years, all of these other things have blown up like this, and now we're really starting to see these kids come out. Maybe that is worth a shot to explore, just to see if we're onto something. Maybe nobody comes. Maybe it doesn't work. Let's try though. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we did last year. We did as many all ages venues as we could. It's not always easy when you're working with promoters to get the exact parameters you need in terms of start times, things like that. But yeah, there'd be a father and a son in Wichita, Kansas on a Sunday night who drove 10 hours to be there and then had to get back at school the next day. And every night we would notice 3-4 families that drove from 3 hours out of town. So again, long story short, it was so incredible that now on this tour that we're starting in early May, Thursday, May 2nd, we basically went back to the drawing board. We went out kind of old school and we're renting like American Legion and VFW halls, bringing in our own production, all shows, all ages. Every night, the doors open at 5, show starts at 6, like we mentioned earlier, do the meet and greet afterwards, some vintage gaming stations, really just trying to cater to this audience because I know how special it is and hard it is to get anybody to come to an event. So we just want to give them the best experience possible and try to make it something that they can remember. And hopefully we're like, hey, I loved that music. It was so cool to go see the band, meet the band, blah, blah, blah. And we have so many first-time concert goers that I just want to make as big of an impact as possible and give them the best experience. So
First of all, no one should ever underestimate the nerds.
That is for real.
Right? Because nerds are the coolest
Yes.
and rule the world. And secondly, as my favorite, like one of my favorite people, Tom Morello, just proved with all of his D&D talk on Twitter, and he's an amazing rock star, and as you are proving. And secondly, I love that you are literally flipping what everyone says about gaming, about kids who game, about all of that on its ear by bringing everybody out in person, interacting in person, getting everybody interacting with one another, bringing the music. It's like you're literally proving everyone wrong in one fell swoop.
Yes.
It's amazing.
I love to hear that. And just to elaborate a little bit on that, so last year doing those first shows where, you know, kids would drive out. I'm going to use Kansas City because when we showed up to Kansas City, there was a line out the door. Again, I'm so used to being like the opening act or the band that plays after the headliner where everyone's leaving now and it's my turn to go up. So
Right.
to be on the opposite side of that finally, that's a really good feeling. But not only that, to see and then to hear about later on from parents or fans online that said, hey, my kid met like two great friends at the show
Yes.
that live maybe a few hours apart, and all they've been doing is talking. Are you going to be at the next one? And it's almost like building a community.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
it's incredible. Like it blows my mind still, you know, so many people have been wrong about those communities, and this only goes to prove that. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, and you know, I feel like sometimes bands and artists who have a younger audience get this sort of short shrift and sort of like brushed to the side. And you know, to your point of people driving that far and showing that dedication and having this music mean something to them, even though it's reaching them through a, you know, non-traditional platform, to be somebody's first concert experience and to make sure that they have the best damn night of their life is one, a high bar to clear, but also this great honor that people are saying, like, I want you to show me a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's those types of things that you don't really think about at first. And then again, when you have, you know, the third family of the night that says, we've been, you know, he plays your music so much that even me and the mom are loving the music. And then we've been driving around the last 3 weeks, the whole family listening to this album, waiting for this night. And then again, to see families that I've been contacted recently that'll have seen every show in their city that we've done for the last year and a half, where they drive all over. So it's like, you really do, even though I just said build a community, it's almost like you're building something so real because you actually start to remember these people.
Mhm.
Oh my God, this person's favorite song. Sometimes the artist or anyone for that matter doesn't realize how much little things like music or an interview or a TV clip can really change not only someone's life, but perspective on everything. And again, we just try to keep all that in mind. We're here because we love to play. Of course, there's a bit of ego in there of the young 16-year-old rock star dream, right? But
Of course.
now it's almost beyond that. It's not just my thing anymore. It's like, this is our thing. We are here together. And again, if there's only 30 kids that come out one night, some people to a normal rock show would say, oh, that sounds like a local no-name show, basically. But when you have 30 people and every single person knows every single word, those 30 people make it feel like you got 3,000, and none of that matters then.
Yep.
Because those people are having an experience, which is an investment in the next 10 years of shows I do, because they're going to be there every time. You know what I'm saying?
Plus, you're
So,
perpetuating that dream, and you're passing that dream from you to those like 30 kids who then pass it on to 30 more kids. And that dream lives on forever and ever for generations.
Yeah. And that's one thing that I hear a lot of some of my team members will say is that, you know, having this type of thing now, and like you mentioned a minute ago, Luke, about, you know, having the younger audience, and sometimes that's not taken as serious. Absolutely. But if we look at like historically, like even pop music, like just Taylor Swift, for example, a great amount, I'm sure, is a lot of young kids, but a lot of times those kind of cult, not the Taylor Swift thing, but these kind of like cult followings, really long-term, those are the ones, in my opinion, that do have a chance to be something special one day. Or maybe you are doing 20,000 seat arenas as kind of a legacy act. through like you mentioned, the generations of people that have come, and you get what I mean, kind of like. So
Yeah.
No, I mean the Beatles started off as a teen pop band.
yeah, yeah,
Lest we forget.
Right.
right. No,
Right.
for
It's
sure.
in writing your music and working on stuff, how much do you have the the audience in mind? Are you trying to sort of speak to them, or are you just trying to sort of speak to what you're going through and what you're dealing with? Because these songs are, I think a lot of them, I would say, come across as incredibly personal and very much that you're singing in my ear in the best way possible, if that makes sense.
Right, right. That's a great question. I think there was a phase where, when you get any type of success, let's say, I don't know if that's the right word, but any type of momentum where it's like, okay, people are listening now. Maybe this is
Right.
the first time. So I always go back to my first song was a song called With Me Now, which came out to radio, just a normal traditional way, like Sirius XM Octane. They played this thing over and over. It sold like 100,000 downloads, a year or two before streaming became a big thing. And then, once you have that happen, that's kind of the mindset. You think, well, okay, I need to make something that's kind of just like this because that's what worked, so you
Right.
start getting into that. Okay, how did we do this? But then, as time goes on, you kind of realize that that's not the way to go because you're trying now to do something like this. When that was originally written, let's say, it was just another thing. So what I've learned, again, sorry if that kind of sounds cluttered or doesn't make sense, but
No,
I think long term, I've just learned that you can never go wrong if you're telling the truth to your people. So even if I don't want to bring the mood down for you guys musically, but if the songs have to be so personal like that, I still try to make them as, I don't want to say relatable, but just as broad.
well, but
I'm
I
sorry,
think
yeah.
no, but
I have to keep them real because I feel like if I try to do something that isn't authentic, I think people can see right through that. And then,
mhm.
you know what I mean? That's kind of how I look at it.
Mhm.
Well, and the fact that it is applicable to Minecraft and it's applicable to these video games, which obviously it's so interesting because it is a non-traditional form of storytelling in many, many ways. And the the listener and the player is kind of woven into this world. And so to have that to be able to talk about and resonate with people, I think there is a sort of a universality or a universal oneness. You want to talk about getting deep and going weird, but like this idea of I'm singing something and working on something so incredibly personal, so incredibly true to my authentic being that it can touch a wide array of people because everyone has had some element of that thing. Not
Oh,
to like put it
100%.
in this like weird macro.
No,
What's the opposite
absolutely.
of macro? Yeah.
It's almost yeah, because the song can be written from one perspective, but someone else, they can have a totally different scenario playing out that has nothing to do with what maybe I was writing it about, but the feeling is the same. So you can take that feeling and then it applies to whatever they're going through. And that's how the songs almost start to feel personalized to people who are into that music. It's almost as if this is written for me, even though it may have, you know what I mean? It may have been totally
Mm-hmm.
different, but because we can grasp that perception, I think that's one of the strongest things. And another thing I always thought was really cool about that, considering like, let's say 5, 6 years ago, all the big hip hop, very explicit language, partying, drinking, and I get that. But to me, it just shows that the younger generation also, there is real feelings there, there is struggle there, and it's no different than any of us from the generations before. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
there's always those kind of outsiders or whatever you want to call them, and they're always going to need to be spoken to in kind of that way musically. And if I can be that music, I'm nothing but grateful for sure.
I mean, to paraphrase Bob Dylan when he was talking to the Beatles, he said, "You've got the world's ear. What are you going to tell them? She loves you, yeah, 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 or do you want to do something else?" And then they start writing, all you need is love and all these, help, all these things that are much more personal. Is it obviously you had some pushback from record people when you're like, here's what we're going to do with this. This is going to be great. Do you see people changing their tunes, or is this just so out of the box for any major industry like that? Is just music, is the music industry too big of a ship to turn so quickly? Because it seems like you're really, I mean, you're doing what any artist wants to do, which is connect with people and resonate with people. And it just seems like you're doing that very, very well right now.
Yeah.
You still getting that pushback from folks?
It's funny because, again, going back to what I said, the first couple of years was always pushback. Oh, come on, this is blah, blah. Cue to a couple of years ago when I think in about a span of, let's say, 6 months, I think I had 5 or 6 of the biggest managers, labels, and bands reaching out to me to hire me if I could get their music in some of these Minecraft things. So the tune has definitely flipped. I have big acts, like named acts, that will reach out to me and say, hey, could you help me get in touch with this person to try this? I'd love to bring you on tour if you can do this and that. So yeah, it's incredible. And I think in the future, I think we're going to see a lot more artists doing things, maybe not Minecraft, but in this type of way where you're finding an audience that's already connected to something. You just kind of, like you mentioned, Luke, you're kind of woven into it somehow. And to me, that's kind of the secret sauce of, I also tell people all the time, like, if you have $1 million budget, just because you spend $1 million and put your face on all the billboards in LA and New York and on TV, that is never going to force somebody to actually connect with you and like you. It'll make you aware, but that connection is not going to happen until that person or listener has found you themselves in their own way somehow. And yeah, I think artists, labels, managers, they all see the benefit in it, especially now when I barely work radio anymore because it almost as if there's nobody listening out there and everyone is over here. I'm sure all artists are different in different groups and fan bases and things like that. But for me, yeah, those are my people. Like I said, you want to talk nerds? Those are my nerds in a jokingly funny way. Yes.
Please, like, were we all so nerdy?
Yeah,
Let's be
for
honest.
sure.
Please.
Hey, I collect Pokemon cards still, so believe me.
Everyone's got their thing. I mean, it's something we found with all the various interviews we've done. At the end of the day, everyone is the same, just different, different names for stuff.
Right.
Let's make everyone feel bad about their creative output. You've had 3 records come out in the past 8 months, 9 months, and I realize these are not all, there's some re-releasing of tracks and stuff.
Yep.
How often are you working? How often are you writing? Is that an all the time thing?
It depends what kind of like cycle, for lack of a better term, I'm in. There's times where I'll start, like for this album that's coming out soon. I kind of just started one day, and 10 months later, I had it was my 9 to 5 job every day. I'm more of a 10 to 6 kind of guy, but
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've been finished for several months now, just getting the packaging together. So I kind of like to take breaks, and not like I haven't been writing anything for the last couple months. But I don't feel like I just say, okay, I'm going to stop writing now, and then in a few months I'm going to start. I just let it happen. When I feel like, it might sound crazy, but I feel like I get a vibe or something that just lets me know that, okay, the time is now. Let's start making some songs, or something can happen that inspires me that says, okay, you know what I mean? So it's definitely my 9 to 5 in the sense that if I'm not writing, I'm doing like press, or I'm working with my team, or I like to wear all hats. So I'm involved in every aspect of everything from routing the tours to which places we're going to play to which lighting, every aspect of it, because I'm so passionate about it. I love it. But that's kind of how I do it. It's phases. So I might be a year of, I write all day and record. And I typically, when I write, I'm basically tracking it on the spot, mixing as we go, redoing things. Sometimes a song will be written in 10 minutes and it's incredible and it's one of the biggest songs. Another times it'll sit a year. So it just depends. But yeah, it's definitely it's therapeutic for sure. Yeah.
Do you have a preferred instrument you like to start on, or is it really whatever's nearby when you just start futzing with something?
It's typically a guitar. It'll go back and forth though, because nowadays so much is done on the computer. Right in front of me, you guys are looking here, but right in front of me is basically my studio station, keyboards, pianos, speakers, the big screen. So if it's not a guitar, I'm usually on maybe making a beat or coming up with some sort of sound or vibe, as some of the kids like to say, and just kind of getting
Way to
that
connect
down.
with the kids, by the
Yeah,
way. Yeah.
yeah.
I got that lingo down.
Oh yeah, no cap, no cap. Yeah, but yeah, just I try to just let the song, serve the song itself. That's why I'm not so genre specific. If one song sounds a little bit more poppy, or this one sounds more metal, or this one doesn't sound rock at all, to me, a good song is a good song, and it's going to connect if it's meant to at the end of the day. Yep.
But it's got to be freeing as well to not feel like that you want your records to be diverse, that you want your records to have this sprawl to them, that it's not like we have to have 10 bangers that are all in major keys and touch on these vibes and with this many BPMs. Like, it seems like you're much more open to whatever comes in. I can make something out of this.
Absolutely. And I think that's probably one of the benefits of being like independent these days as well, is that, I'm not worried about having to pay the label back or make it a commercial success. Obviously, we all want these things, if it's a commercial success and goes platinum, of course I'm going to be happy,
Right.
That'll look great hanging in the bathroom.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Right, isn't it? But again, I'm more into, here's a good, this might not fit exactly, but just looking at it from the perspective of, a few months ago, I got a package in the mail, like a yellow envelope kind of thing. It ended up being from a fan, no clue how they found my address or anything like that. And it was this like 8-page handwritten note. And there was like a few pictures of me in there that he wanted to sign and stuff. But this whole note was this guy telling me how close he was to basically ending his life, like saying there's tears on this paper as I write it. And this was like a 15, 16-year-old kid. And just, I'm reading this letter and it's just blowing my mind at how dark of a place this kid was at, whether it was bullying or I can't remember exactly what was going on, but he just said, man, like your song, The Struggle, that's the only reason I'm still here. And the second I read that the first time, that's how I knew that it was more than these types of things, than just a successful song, or is it making money, or is it on the charts, or am I selling tickets? It's like, and again, I don't want to be cheesy or sound cliche, the music saves lives and all this, but it legitimately does. And when I know that happens to me, if I never get anything else from here on out, to know that has happened, I feel like it's a victory. One is a victory. When there's so many times when you know what I mean? So again, I just try not to take any of that for granted, and I'm beyond grateful to be in the spot I'm in. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, what more is there, right? I mean, that's
as an artist, as a human being.
As a human being, like you can't
Absolutely.
ask for anything more than that.
And maybe what I do and how my career is now is maybe not the exact image the 16-year-old me thought of, playing 20,000 people with the platinum records and pictures and stuff like that. But it doesn't have to be that, because at the end of the day, that's all external. Right. What's real is you and your story and the music and art you create that affects other people that have their own story. And to me, that's what makes community and music really in today. This stuff could be so special one day. I still think it's going to be,
Well, it already is. And like you said, that every version of it comes with its own, every version of life comes with its own pros and cons, right? So that all those platinum records in the bathroom has all these other factors, like, yeah, those are wonderful, but there's a lot of those people you mentioned that you have to report to, and that you have to change the art to fit the mold that they want it to be. And there's all the people you have to answer to, and the fans you don't get to connect with on a personal level. You don't get to invite them all to hang out with you because they would mob you. And so it's different, right? There's a different victory there. So I don't know. So it might not be as pretty.
When you have that 100%, I love how you just said that, because I remember my first couple of years, of touring. I was opening for some big bands that I would grow up hearing. And it would just be like, wow, like this isn't what you think. Like the glitz and the glamour, where's that part? We're talking like we're lucky to get $50 tonight. And we got a Motel 6 for $40 with 5 or 6 dudes sleeping in there. But again, those are the things that you're willing to do because of the love you have for this.
Right.
Some people might say, are you kidding? I'm not going to sleep in some van with you dudes in the Walmart parking lot. It definitely takes a special person to do that. Fortunately, I'm not there anymore, but I've been there, and really at the end of the day, I'm just, like I've said 1,000 times, I'm just so grateful to have the fan base I do have. And again, when I get to go out and meet them and meet the parents and see how much it actually impacts them, you almost feel like it's such a dream that it's like not reality. The fact that I can just be some kid that is in this little town in Spearfish, South Dakota, and millions of people all over the world listen to my music on a daily basis. How can that be? But here we are, and that's another reason why I think my fan base latches onto me so much, is because I am pushing that I'm just a guy that had a dream and I worked hard and I wanted to make it happen. And honest to God, if I can do it, you can do anything.
Out on the road right now, they're playing Philly tonight, New York tomorrow, and then Georgia and Illinois, and they're all over the place. For more information, check out their website, blacklightdistrict.net, and you can find them on Facebook, where they're at facebook.com/blacklightdistrict.
You can check us out on all the various socials. Be sure to visit our website at rockandrollgradschool.com, and don't forget to leave us a review.
Today's show is produced by myself and Heidi Hedquist. Our reluctant producers are John Sauvé and Sandy Stone. Our willing producers are Rachel Allen and Randy Jeanette. Our intern is Zach Jackson. This one's for Philippe. Thank you, good night, and may all your favorite bands stay together. Look at me, I'm hot.